Hello and welcome to my very first YouTube episode. My name is Dr. Freya Bleethman and today I'll be talking about how I prepare for night shift. Even as a medical student, I was already stressing about doing night shifts as a doctor and how I would prepare, how I would manage on the night shifts, not only being super junior and not having a lot of experience and then having to do my job, which was already probably borderline a bit beyond me. It was hard, and do that while being completely sleep deprived. I remember for the first year or so that I did night shifts, I would genuinely cry before my shifts because I was so stressed about being tired because I hadn't slept that much that day. Weird FOMO. I'd be really jealous of my partner or whoever who's at home getting to sleep and I have to be up at night. I'd feel really lonely. And that was even in an ED, an emergency department where there's heaps of people around, heaps of people doing night shift, but it is quite isolating. So I don't want my junior medical staff and all the nurses and shift workers, security guards, everyone that's in the hospital or just doing night shift, wherever you're doing night shift, to feel as sad and anxious and stressed about it all as I was. So what I'm going to go through in this video today is how I prepare for night shifts, how I manage the night shifts themselves, and how I recover after the run of nights has finished. So what I've learned through my many years of doing night shifts is that there's two main ways you can prepare to go into the night shift. So the first method I would say is probably the most popular, and it's definitely what I started doing. So method one is that you stay up as late as you possibly can the night before with the intention of sleeping in as late as you can and kind of shifting your body clock forward. So say I would often try and stay up until 3 or 4 a.m. if I could, and then I would sleep until sometimes I could manage 2 or so, and then get up, then you're up and about, your day started, and you go on to do your shift at 7, 8, 10, whatever time it starts. This method is good because a lot of people find it easier to just stay up later rather than to get up really early, which is alluding to technique number 2, which I'll cover in a second. I think it's a little bit of a know your own body thing. Some people just naturally, their body will fit more easily into one method over another. And it is often a little bit of trial and error. I used to do this way, but now I do the second way. So method number 2 for preparing for your first night shift is the night before. I try and go to bed at a normal time or maybe a little bit early and do everything as I normally would. It's when I wake up that's the really big change, that I'll be trying to shift myself almost kind of backwards. So the first one I move forward, this one I'm moving backwards. So I'll wake up at 4 a.m. and the catch with method 2 is that you can't, you have to get up at 4. Wake up 4 a.m, achieve what you want to achieve. You can do some exercise, do some work, study, relaxation, whatever you want to do. And then I nap from about 1 until, often I can get to kind of 6 or 7, depending on when my shift starts. And I really like this method because I am sleeping until much closer to the start time of my shift. And I feel like I've got much more energy on the night shift and feel safer in my decision making and things like that. So that's the real benefit of this. So I'm asleep until 7 p.m. before my shift starts, whereas with the other one, at best I'd be able to do maybe 2, 1. When I say I go to sleep at kind of 1ish from my afternoon nap, I start winding down maybe an hour before that. So I close all the curtains, turn all the lights off. I'm weird when I'm on nights, I wear sunglasses and nice music. I'll often have a bath, do some yin yoga, something really relaxing, some meditation. I genuinely almost get excited for preparing for this night shift because it's just a complete guilt-free long nap in the middle of the day. So whichever method you do, you've either woken up in the early afternoon if you've done method 1 or kind of evening time if you've done method 2. So then the next thing is, what do you do on the night shift to try and make things as seamless as you possibly can? So while you're on the shift, I find it really helpful to kind of do what the opposite of what you were doing in the daytime, if you were doing that method 2, trying to have a nap during the day. You want to blast your eyeballs with light and kind of tell your brain it's daytime even though it's not. Hospitals are helpful with this because there's often fluorescent lighting and things like that, but in the evening time and night time, often lights will start getting switched off and the corridor lights will be off. So what I do is phone brightness all the way up, computer brightness all the way up, trying to wake yourself up that way. The other things are more kind of practicalities and looking after yourself when you're on night shift. So anyone that's been a patient in a hospital knows the hospitals are absolutely freezing at night, and same goes for when you're on night shift. So I always wear heaps of layers. So I usually just wear scrubs at night, and I will wear often thermals bottom and top underneath my scrubs. Another point is what I eat and drink on nights. I find what works best for me is really small meals and trying to eat frequently-ish, but I struggle on night shift. My night shift nausea is real, and I can't even stomach the thought of really eating a proper meal. So small meals, easy to digest. I love a kind of crackers and tzatziki dip or something kind of lightish, so you're still having a little bit of carbs and protein is a good idea. Another really important thing is hydration. I get so dehydrated on nights. I'm sure it's because you're also spending up to 14 plus hours in the hospital with all the aircon drying you out. I try and kind of have a big drink bottle and finish the whole thing while I'm there. The last little intake thing I'll mention is caffeine. I will try not to drink anything after about 3 a.m. caffeine wise. All right, so you've finished your shift. What do you do on your way home and when you get home? So again, my beloved sunglasses come out. Genuinely, I've been known to, as soon as handover's done, put my sunglasses on even when I'm still in the hospital. The other thing I'll mention about getting home is making sure you've got a safe way to get home. So for my first night shift, I pretty much always catch the train or some kind of public transport into work. For the other nights, if I'm feeling fine, I might drive or ride my bike or whatever I normally do. But you've just got to make sure you're safe. If you say drive there, even on a subsequent night, if you drive there and you're like, nah, I don't feel right to drive home, just get an Uber. I've spent probably several $100s on Ubers post night shifts in my career, and it's just money well spent. You don't want to take that risk to yourself and to others. So once you're home, you set up your haven of a bedroom, and there's got to be, you know how some languages have a special word that describes a whole sentence and they've just got a perfect word for it? I would love to hear if you know of a word or you feel like you can sum up this feeling in one word, which is the excitement you get to go to bed at the end of a night shift. You're picturing your bed, your room's cold, you've got a hot water bottle, it's so snuggly, you've got your blinds, your eye mask, your earplugs, you've got your white noise or whatever you want in the background. Genuinely, it gives me so much joy on night shifts, and it is such a source of happiness for me. And honestly, I probably should have said this at the start, but the TLDR is if you do some of these things and do what I do, and you also find it helpful, I get the best sleep that I ever do when I'm on nights because my whole focus is getting enough sleep. So genuinely, if you look at my kind of sleep thing on my phone, whatever, it'll be like 8.5 hours or 8 hours every night. And then I'm stressing about it in the lead up. Whereas when I'm doing day shifts, I don't know, I do try to get good sleep, but it's very rare I'll hit 8 hours. So food for thought. 2 more quick points is 1, do not plan anything for the day if you can at all avoid it while you're on nights. I cannot believe what some people do during the day after they've had a night at work and they're going to work the next night again and they've got lunch planned with friends. I don't know, personally, I wouldn't get up at 3 a.m. when I'm on a day shift to go have lunch. It's absurd. And I get that some people do find nights really isolating and it's a way to get some social interaction in, but I don't know. I think you've got to sacrifice the social life a little bit to get enough sleep, be safe for yourself and your patients, and you can go out for lunch when you're done. And the final little tip that I have for when I was living in share houses, or even if you're in a busy house, is with as little passive aggressiveness as you can, just remind people that you're on night shifts. I had little signs up, and it was helpful because most of my housemates were also healthcare workers, so they did night shifts too. And I'd be like, yep, put the sign up, everyone, Lydia's on nights, let's put the sign up and say, shift worker sleeping. Put it at your front door if you don't want the doorbell to be rung, something like that. Because it's just the worst when you're asleep on nights and someone wakes you up. And if your body's not completely adjusted to the new time zone, it can be really hard to get back to sleep. Or worse, when you're the housemate. I remember I was vacuuming once and I completely forgot that my housemate was sleeping post nights, and I still feel bad. This was literally 6 years ago and I still feel bad about it. All right, finally, the day you finish, what my tips are for recovery. Again, like preparing, there are two ways you can approach this. Option one, which is actually the one that I do, is I try and push through as late as I can. And when I do eventually go to sleep, that's what I intend to be my kind of big sleep for the night. So no napping during the day, just kind of push through, and then sleep for the night. Wake up hopefully at a normal-ish time, and then I feel okay the next day. Option number two is what I used to do, and sometimes I still do it if I really need a nap, if I hadn't slept well the night before or whatever. But I get home and then pretty much immediately go to bed like I would have been doing while I was on nights. And I will set an alarm for 1 o'clock or something if I get to sleep by 11, just to get a little nap in, then wake up, do my normal day, and then go to bed at a normal-ish time, 10 or whatever. My problem with option two, having a nap in the day, is that there is no more disgusting, bad feeling after not sleeping all night, having a nap, and then having to wake up. That feeling, you just feel sick and tired and groggy, and genuinely, I think it's worse than how crappy you feel if you push all the way through and just stay up. And, quite frankly, you just roll over and go back to sleep, and then you end up sleeping through the whole day, then you're up again all night, and you're chasing your tail trying to revert back to day zones. My little tip, if you do want to do the nap option, or even if you don't want to do the nap option but you kind of want to not be tempted during the day, is have something pretty low-key booked in. So I would often maybe book a telehealth doctor's appointment or something for 1 p.m, or maybe a really low-key hang out with a friend. They come over for a coffee at 11 or mid-morning or something like that. Just something to book in that you're not going to cancel last minute to keep you awake. All right, so they're my top tips for preparing for nights, surviving on nights, and recovering from nights. I hope that was helpful. I have many, many opinions. I have very much trial and errored this shift work life. And if you've got any thoughts, if you like option A or B for the preparing or option A or B for the recovering, let me know. If you've got tips that I've not mentioned, put them in the comments so others can see, and let's just try and make night shifts as bearable as they possibly can be. And they're not perfect, but they were much better than I feared they would be when I was a student. I still would choose to never do them again if I could, but we have chosen the wrong career for that.